Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 47th part of What If Deku Was a Magical Girl Mascot, Quirk, Magical Girl Mascot. The author of this great fan fic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 47, All Goes Tumbling Down. Thanks to Achiko, they followed Toga to the meeting spot. They landed close by as she was talking with other villains. Shoto placed the boy from Class 1B on the ground, then transformed. All right. On the count of one we go in, said Katsuki, ready to fight. That's a terrible plan, muttered Shoto. 1. Yelled Katsuki. Shoto sighed as the two ran into the clearing that was being used as a meeting spot, but followed them with having no other choice. In the clearing, the scared villain was asking Toga about if she got any blood. That was when the three showed up. No way. Magical girls, yelled another villain who was wearing a black and gray costume. Then he spoke in a different tone. Seriously, magical girls? Where the hell is Deku? Demanded Katsuki. Deku? Asked the scared villain. Oh, that's their nickname for that guy we came to kidnap, said Toga. I see, muttered the scared villain. Give him back, said Achiko. The scarred villain sent out blue fire at them. Both Achiko and Katsuki dodged while Shoto used her water attack to counter it. The scarred villain stared at Shoto. It was like he was trying to figure out what to say. So you're a girl, he managed to say. Everything seemed to stop at that awkwardness. What? Said Shoto, looking at the villain. I mean, I had heard that Endeavor's son had transformed into a girl, and well, I just didn't think I would see you, said the villain awkwardly. Wow, Dabi, I didn't know you acted like that, said Toga. Oh yeah. That kid turns guys into magical girls, doesn't he? Asked the villain dressed in black and gray, who then said in a different tone of voice, what kind of quirk is that again? Katsuki decided to take advantage of the awkwardness by attacking the villain in the black and gray costume by summoning her wand. Not cool, said the villain, who then said, nice shot. Thanks to Katsuki's attack, the awkwardness seemed to evaporate as fighting began. Shoto fought the villain who was named Dabi while Achiko once again fought Toga. You won't let me get their blood, will you? Said Toga. No, said Achiko, holding her wand tightly. Oh cool. You have a wand, said Toga. Achiko blared at her as she made Toga float. Then she turned on the gravity and forced her to the ground and hard. I'm not letting you up until you give him back, she said dangerously. Wow, you really love him, said Toga, and you're dating too. It must be nice. Achiko just glared harshly at the girl on the ground. However, at the same time Shoto was fighting Dabi. She knew it was probably for the best to use her water attacks. I heard that he gets copies of the quirks he bonds with, said Dabi. I bet Endeavor was more angry about the fact he has a copy of your quirk than the fact you're now a girl. Shoto didn't answer and just focused on fighting. She knew it was never a good idea to take the bait of someone who clearly hated her father. Not that her father didn't deserve the hatred. He did, but it was better to not take the bait. Katsuki meanwhile at fighting the villain the black and gray costume, who produced a strange bladed weapon from his wrist. So do you have a bunch of sparkly moves to show off? Asked the villain. Katsuki just shot off a few explosions. I said sparkly, not sparky boom, said the villain, who then said in a different tone, okay? I can't contradict that statement. Katsuki just stared at the villain as she dodged an attack from him. That was when Katsuki once again summoned her wand and unleashed a large explosion against him. Katsuki, scolded Shoto. She had to dodge some of the fire sent by Dabi, but thankfully it didn't hit as she put it out with her water attack. Katsuki was breathing heavily as she walked over to the black and gray villain. What did you do to him? Said Katsuki, pointing her wand at the villain. I don't have him. The villain. Then who does? Said Katsuki. You know there's more villains the forest, right? Said a voice. She turned and saw a villain wearing a trench coat with a mask and a top hat. Achiko and Shoto saw him too and realized he must have been the one who took him. Of course the guy took Deku, already dressed like a villain from a magical girl anime. Muttered Katsuki. There was a small awkward silence as the villain processed it. I didn't intend it, but I guess it is fitting that I was the one who took him. Said the villain who held up a small marble. All three could see inside the marble was Izuku in animal form, though to be fair he was stuck in animal form. Katsuki jumped at the masked villain who managed to jump out of the way with a flip. Give him back now! Yelled Katsuki. She let loose a rather large explosion from her wand. The villain got hit by it. While it wasn't her strongest explosion, it did take a lot of her and she started to breathe even more heavily. Damn it! She yelled. Kaken! Said Achiko. I'm reaching my limit, okay? Muttered Katsuki, just focus on keep her down. Achiko nodded. Shoto trapped Dabi in ice. She wasn't sure how long it would be able to hold him as his fire was extremely hot but knew she had to help rescue Izuku. She summoned her wand and twirled it at the villain, creating a large gust of wind and knocked him down. Thankfully when he was knocked down he dropped the marble. Katsuki ran over and grabbed it. I got Deku! Yelled Katsuki, we'll figure out later how to get him out. Alright, said Achiko. Shoto nodded. Meanwhile Tsuyu, Tokoyami and Shoji arrived in the classroom. You three are okay, said Kirishima. Unfortunately Achiko ran after one of the villains, said Tsuyu who de-transformed from magical girl from since she was safe. Tsuyu. I think I figured out why they took Izuku, said Tenya. What? Asked Tsuyu. I think it's because of the healing aspect of the quirk, said Tenya. Tsuyu was surprised. You really think that? Asked Tsuyu. It's entirely possible. If Izuku's healing capabilities really are that powerful, then, said Tenya. Tsuyu wasn't really surprised, after all it was a reason why his brother rejected the offer for bonding with Izuku. However it was still just a theory, but it did seem like it could be very much possible. Back in the forest, Achiko let go of Toga knowing it was better to escape with Izuku. The other two joined up with Katsuki. At the same time Dabi escaped from the ice as the masked villain got up. Are you just going to let them free? Demanded Dabi. Oh, you assume that I don't have trick up my sleeve, said the masked villain. He removed his mask and revealed he had a marble in his mouth. He then snapped his fingers and a large branch came out of the marble. What? Yelled Katsuki. Then she realized it must have been during the flip that he was able to make the switch. He held out the marble as if to gloat. However, as they didn't know was that they had a classmate nearby watching the entire time. Aoyama, who was paired with Yayorozu for the test of courage, had found both Toru and Jiro unconscious thanks to the poisonous gas. Thankfully both were alive, as Izuku pointed out before, but were unconscious. Thankfully both had gas masks on. However, Yayorozu and a member class 1B went to search for other students to give gas masks to, which left him alone with the two unconscious girls. And his own chosen hiding spot was nearby, so he was watching the entire time. And this time he knew he had to do something, so he shot his sparkly laser at the villains. Thankfully this allowed the villains to drop him. Unfortunately that was the only shot he had as his stomach problems began to bother him. Aoyama? Asked Achiko. Thank him later. We still have to save Deku, yelled Katsuki. All of them ran towards the marble. Katsuki grabbed her wand and let loose as powerful an explosion she can use. However, Dabi sent out fire at the explosion, making it even bigger. Almost everyone in the clearing was knocked away. Damn it, growled out Katsuki, who de-transformed. It was clear she reached her limits. Katsuki, said Shoto. Don't worry about me, save Deku, yelled Katsuki. Both Shoto and Achiko got up and ran towards where the marble landed. Unfortunately, Dabi was the one who managed to pick it up. Just as Kurogiri appeared. What? Muttered Shoto as Achiko was shocked. Compress, said Dabi. The villain known as Compress snapped his fingers and Izuku reappeared. When he reappeared, it re-established the telepathic connection. What just happened? He thought. Then he saw what was going on and his eyes winded, especially since he was in the grip of a villain. No! Thought Izuku. What's going on? Called out Inko. Damn it! Thought Katsuki. There was nothing any of them could do as the villains left. I can't believe I just got beaten by a magical girl. Muttered the villain in black and gray, then said in a different tone of voice. That was fun. See you around, Achiko, said Toga as she left through a portal. At the same time, Izuku's fear, Katsuki's anger, and Achiko and Shoto's sadness and worry all began to mix. In the classroom, both Tsuyu and Tenya started to cry. What's going on? Yelled Kirishima. Before they could answer, someone approached the door. Is it Aizawa? Asked Kaminari. However, suddenly the door exploded and a second Dabi appeared. Vlad King managed to hold him down with blood control, with Aizawa showing up with Kota. However, most of the class didn't pay attention to him, mostly because of how badly both Tenya and Tsuyu were crying. We can feel their emotions, said Tsuyu, managing to explain things. Something bad is going on, explained Tenya. Back in the forest, suddenly Toru woke upon and started crying while coughing. It was thanks to that potent mix of emotions that she was suddenly awakened. Hagakure, said Aoyama, still clutching his stomach. What's going on? She coughed out. That was when she saw what was going on. She was about to grab her necklace, but she had a coughing fit, so she couldn't help. And thanks to that, the emotions got even worse. Toru? Thought Izuku. I'm awake, and I'm sorry I can't help, she mentally cried. Katsuki noticed some bushes nearby moving and realized she was nearby, which sadly only made the emotions worse. Deku! Cried Achiko. Izuku! Yelled Shoto. Damn it! Yelled Katsuki, who was still unable to move on the ground. Everyone watched helplessly as Izuku was dragged into the portal. I'm sorry, mentally cried out Izuku. Everyone felt his fear as they felt it was cut off again, as Kurogiri disappeared. In the Midoriya apartment, Inko was shaking and then she started crying. She could tell the villains had succeeded in kidnapping her son. On Island, Melissa was also crying, figuring out what happened. In the classroom, Aizawa had beaten the second Dabi into goo and noticed both Tsuyu and Tenya's depression. They succeeded, didn't they? Asked Aizawa. Both of them nodding, knowing that's what happened. There was nothing they could really say. Back in the forest, Toru managed to crawl out of the hiding spot while taking off the gas mask. I'm sorry, she whimpered out, then started coughing. But none of the other three said anything. After all, this loss was a big one. They could all tell he was still alive, but they didn't know for how long. They also knew that after that night, nothing will ever be the same ever again. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 48. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.